Hi friends, this is Gautam. In this video tutorial, I can teach the topic how to calculate metric value in EIGRP routing protocol. This is an example topology. So in this topology, I can use 4 router R1, R2, R3 and R4. So in R1 to R2, we can use the network as 192.100.200.0/30. So this is a net ID. Here we can use subnet mask as 255.255.255.252. So the 252 can be calculated as 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. So the last value we can add it as 4. So here we can use the 4 IP address in this network. So 0 is a net ID, 1 is an first host, 2 is an last host and 3 is an direct broadcast. In R2 to R3 network, we can use the net ID as 150.150.100.0/30. So here also we can use the subnet mask as 255.255.255.252. So the 252 value can be calculated as 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. So the last value we can add it as 4. So in this network also we can use 4 IP address. 0 is a net ID, 1 is an first host, 2 is an last host and 3 is an direct broadcast. So net ID and direct broadcast address we cannot use it. So remaining 2 IP address only we can use it. So in R3 to R4 network we can use the net ID as 192.200.50.0. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. So the 252 can be calculated as 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4. So the last value we can add it as 4. So in this network we can use 4 IP address. So 0 is a net ID, 1 is an first host, 2 is an last host, 3 is an direct broadcast. So in that 4 IP we can use only 2 IP. Remaining 2 is used for net ID and broadcast. So in WAN network we can use /30, means we can use the IP address as efficiently. Here we can see, so in EIGRP routing protocol, so the metric value calculated by default it can be calculated by using bandwidth and delay. So in EIGRP there are 5 metrics are there: bandwidth, delay, load, reliability, maximum transmission unit. By default it can be calculated using bandwidth and delay. So in this video tutorial I can teach you how to calculate the metric value using default metric value, that is bandwidth and delay. So in R1 router can be connected to R2 router through the port serial 0/0. So in this port we can assign the bandwidth and delay. So bandwidth is 100 kilobytes and delay is 1000 milliseconds. So in R2 router can be connected through serial 0/0 to R1 router. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth and delay. So bandwidth is 200 kilobytes and delay is 2000 milliseconds. So R2 router can be connected to R3 router through the port serial 0/1. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth as 400 kilobytes and delay as 4000 milliseconds. So R3 router can be connected to R2 router through the port serial 0/0. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth as 300 kilobytes and delay 6000 milliseconds. R3 router can be connected to R4 router, so through serial 0/1. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth as 500 kilobytes and delay as 3000 milliseconds. So finally R4 router can be connected to R3 router, so through the port serial 0/0. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth and delay as bandwidth is 600 kilobytes and delay is 5000 milliseconds. So first of all I can assign the IP address to all the interface. So we can go to the R1 router. So in that R1 router we can go to the particular interface serial 0/0. Next we can assign the IP address, IP space address. So the net ID is 182.100.200.0. So the first IP address I can assign to serial 0/0. So the net ID is 182.100.200.1. So the subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. Next, no shutdown to enable this interface. So in this port I can assign the bandwidth and delay. So the syntax for assigning bandwidth and delay is, so bandwidth space 100. So bandwidth space we can enter the number, so it can be taken as an kilobytes. Enter. Next, delay space 1000. Enter. So delay space 1000. So 1000 is an milliseconds, but in router it can taken as an euroseconds. Exit. Do write. Okay, now the configurations are saved in NVRAM. Okay, now we can go to the R2 router and assign the IP address to the interface. So this is an R2 router. We can go to the global mode. In the global mode we can go to the particular interface. Serial 0/0 IP space address 182.100.200.200.2 and subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. No shutdown to enable this interface. Now in this port I can assign the bandwidth as 200 kilobytes and delay as 2000 milliseconds. So the syntax for assigning bandwidth is bandwidth space 200 and delay is 2000. Do write to save this configuration. Okay, next we can assign the IP address to serial 0/1. So we can go to that particular interface. Serial 0/1 IP space address. So the net ID is 150.150.100.0. So here in this network we can use 4 IP address. In that 4 IP address we can use only 2 IP address. Remaining 2 IP address is used for net ID and broadcast. So here the first host is 1 and last host is 2. So the first IP address can be assigned to the serial 0/1. So 150.150.100.1. subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. No shutdown to enable this interface. Okay, now in this port I can assign the bandwidth and delay. So bandwidth is 400 kilobytes and delay is 4000. So we can go to that particular interface and assign bandwidth space 400 kilobytes. Next, delay 4000. Do write to save this configuration into NVRAM. Okay, next we can go to the R3 router and assign the IP address to the interface. So first of all we can go to the serial 0/0 interface, serial 0/0. Next we can assign the IP address, IP space